Ready? Good evening. It's a little after 7. Sorry we're late. This is the Office of Technical Difficulty. The Tibet Center, Buddhist Meditation Study and Meditation and Study Center, located in New York City and northern New Jersey. And this is our twice weekly presentation of the Buddha Dharma. Specifically, we're going through this book called Beyond Religion, written by His Holiness Dalai Lama. There's the book, available in fine outlets everywhere, I guess. All the prayers we say are on our website, thetibetcenter.org. Go to the prayer section, scroll down to FAQ, or go to FAQ section, scroll down to prayers. I'm a little out of it. I need coffee. Hold on. If there's anyone for whom you want us to pray for who has passed away, put their names in the chat box. Darren, let me know the names too at the end, okay? Because I don't have my phone with the names on it. So we'll start with prayer for the spreading of the teachings throughout the length and breadth of the West. By the force of the blessings of the non-fallacious three precious gems, and of the truth of our pure selfless wishes, may the precious Buddhist teachings flourish and spread to the expanse of all areas throughout the length and breadth of the West. For all the people living here, together with their near ones, who have engaged in the teachings and have faith and respect for them, may all conditions adverse to their practice of the pure Dharma be dispelled, and an excellent collection of favorable conditions increase like the waxing moon. And especially for those who work on methods to accomplish the flourishing and spreading of the Victorious One's teachings, which are the source of benefit and happiness, may they never be oppressed by masses of interference and adverse conditions, and may this spontaneously happen just as we have hoped and wished. The Heart Sutra. Thus have I heard once, the Blessed One was dwelling in the royal domain of the Vulture Peak Mountain, together with a big gathering of great monks and great bodhisattvas. At that time, the Blessed One entered the samadhi which examines the dharmas called profound illumination, and at the same time, noble Avalokiteshvara, the bodhisattva Mahasattva, looking at the profound practice of transcendent knowledge, saw the five skandhas and their natural emptiness. Then, through the inspiration of the Buddha, Venerable Shariputra said to Avalokiteshvara, how should those noble ones learn who wish to follow the profound practice of transcendent knowledge? And Avalokiteshvara answered Venerable Shariputra, whoever wishes to follow the profound practice of transcendent knowledge should look at it like this, seeing the five skandhas and their natural emptiness. Form is empty. Emptiness itself is form. Emptiness is not separate from form. Form is not separate from emptiness. In the same way, feeling, discriminating awareness, compositional factors, and consciousness are empty. Thus all the dharmas are empty and have no characteristics. They are unborn and unceasing. They are not impure or pure. They neither decrease nor increase. Therefore, since there is emptiness, there is no form, no feeling, no discriminating awareness, no compositional factors, no consciousness. No eye, no ear, no nose, no tongue, no body, no mind, no appearance, no sound, no smell, no taste, no sensation, no objects of mind, no quality of sight, no quality of hearing, no quality of smelling, no quality of tasting, no quality of sensing, no quality of thought, no quality of mind consciousness. There are no nidanas from ignorance to old age and death, nor their wearing out. There is no suffering, no cause of suffering, no ending of suffering, and no path, no wisdom, no attainment, no non-attainment. Therefore, since there is no attainment, the bodhisattvas abide by means of transcendent knowledge. And since there is no obscurity of mind, they have no fear. They transcend falsity and pass beyond the bounds of sorrow. All the Buddhas who dwell in the past, present, and future by means of transcendent knowledge, fully and clearly awaken to unsurpassed, true, complete enlightenment. Therefore, the mantra of transcendent knowledge, the mantra of deep insight, the unsurpassed mantra, the unequaled mantra, the mantra which calms all suffering, should be known as truth, for there is no deception. In transcendent knowledge, the mantra is proclaimed, Tayat Om Gate Gate Para Gate Parasam Gate Lodi Soha. O Shariputra, this is how a bodhisattva mahasattva should learn profound transcendent knowledge. Then the Blessed One arose from that samadhi and praised the bodhisattva mahasattva Avalokiteshvara, saying, Good, good, O son of noble family, profound, transcendent knowledge should be practiced just as you have taught, and the Tathagatas will rejoice. When the Blessed One had said this, Shariputra and Avalokiteshvara, that whole gathering in the world with its gods, humans, Asuras, and Gandharvas, their hearts full of joy, praised the words of the Blessed One. Now, our third prayer. Refuge and Bodhisattva Vow, or Generating Bodhicitta, I think the title on the page is. We say these verses 3 times. With the wish to free all beings, I shall always go for refuge to the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha until I reach full enlightenment. Inspired by wisdom and compassion, today in the Buddha's presence, I generate the mind intent on full awakening for the benefit of all sentient beings. As long as space endures, as long as sentient beings remain, until then may I too remain to dispel the miseries of the world. With the wish to free all beings, I shall always go for refuge to the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha until I reach full enlightenment. Inspired by wisdom and compassion today in the Buddha's presence, I generate the mind intent on full awakening for the benefit of all sentient beings. As long as space endures, as long as sentient beings remain, until then may I too remain to dispel the miseries of the world. Now, with the third repetition, you feel you have attained the vow, if you're taking the vow. With the wish to free all beings, I shall always go for refuge to the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha until I reach full enlightenment. Inspired by wisdom and compassion today in the Buddha's presence, I generate the mind intent on full awakening for the benefit of all sentient beings. As long as space endures, as long as sentient beings remain, until then may I too remain to dispel the miseries of the world. There's plenty of miseries in the world. We don't have to worry about it. One thing we have a lot of. If you're unenlightened, yeah, it's tough. So, before we go into Beyond Religion, a while ago he mentioned in this book, Beyond Religion, certain topics he brought up in a previous book that he wrote in the same vein, called The Universe in a Single Atom. It's a hardcover book, it's very nice. So there's a lot in here, but I decided to pick out a certain chapter which is very universal, which you should think about constantly, because it's something you're with every minute of your life and every minute of the next life. It's called consciousness. The question of consciousness, chapter 6, and it is on page, boys and girls. They never paginate the first page. It gets on my nerves. I'm terrible. Page 119. So this is His Holiness saying, so relax, you don't have to pay attention. It's not a textbook. You can view this as like a concert. His Holiness says, the joy of meeting someone you love, the sadness of losing a close friend, the richness of a vivid dream, the serenity of a walk through a garden on a spring day, the total absorption of a deep meditative state. These things and others like them constitute the reality of our experience of consciousness. Okay? Unless you're unconscious. That's it. Regardless of the content of any one of these experiences, no one in his or her right mind would doubt their reality. In your right mind, you would doubt their reality. Any experience of consciousness, from the most mundane to the most elevated, has a certain coherence and, at the same time, a high degree of privacy. You're the only one. It's your little theater, your little garden, or whatever you want to call it. Which means that it always exists from a particular point of view. You can think about that. You want to comment, just go right ahead. Throw things, whatever you like. The experience of consciousness is entirely subjective. Okay, that we can see. The paradox, however, is that despite the indubitable reality of our subjectivity and thousands of years of philosophical examination, there is little consensus on what consciousness is. Do we know? Do I know? I know what it's like, but I don't know what it is, if you're going to point. So let them. Science, with its characteristic third-person method, the objective perspective from the outside, has made strikingly little headway in this understanding.
What page are you on?
I am on, this is one of this book, I'm not in that book. He mentioned this book before, so I promised people I would.
What is the book?
This is Universe in a Single Atom.
Okay.
Yeah, that came out a while ago. I think there's a copy upstairs in the Tibet Center. Next time you show up there, look.
No, I got it.
You have it? It's from 2005. This was written 20 years ago. Where did I? There is, however, growing recognition that the study of consciousness is becoming a most exciting area of scientific investigation. Exciting. I like when they use words like exciting. Nothing is anyway. At the same time, there's a growing acknowledgement that modern science does not yet possess a fully developed methodology to investigate the phenomenon of consciousness. Yes, because it's always personal, right? I can't say what yours is, or maybe you're a high yogi, but so it's always, so in science is nothing but, the neutral observer. It's out there. Well, we had a problem here. Because everyone's out there is different. This is not to say that there have been no philosophical theories on the subject, or that there have been no efforts to, quote, explain consciousness in terms of material paradigms. That's what we always do. We have a problem, because we're in the desire realm and everything is objects, things outside. We always, have no language that really covers non-physical things. What? Yes, and we're dealing with, and you even have to express an immaterial thing in material terms. It's funny. No, it's not funny. Darren, and like 7:30, give me the phone so I could time the class. I don't want to be talking at 10 o'clock at night. Everybody will be bombed. Okay, hopefully. Okay, there's been a lot of philosophy about it. At one extreme was the standpoint of behaviorism. Well, let's see. Which attempted to define consciousness in terms of the language of external behavior, thus reducing mental phenomena to verbal and bodily action. At the other extreme is what is known as Cartesian dualism. The Cartesian universe, that concept's talked about a lot. The idea that the world comprises two independent, substantially real things: matter, which is characterized by qualities such as extension, and mind, which is defined in terms of an immaterial substance such as the, quote, spirit. I don't know what to do with it because our minds are so locked in. Everything physical. Funny. Now we have to learn something new. I hope. So that's the Cartesian split, it's sometimes called. Between these two extremes, all kinds of theories have been proposed, from functionalism, which attempts to define consciousness in terms of its functions, all right, give it a shot, to neurophenomenology, which attempts to define consciousness in terms of neural correlates. And they watch the brain and they see when person's generating compassion, the motor center wants to go out and do something, things like that. So it's very funny. Most of these theories understand consciousness by means of aspects of the material world. That's all we know. We're stupid. I don't know. I'm not editorializing. But what about the direct observation of consciousness itself? Yeah. What are its characteristics and how does it function? Does all of life, plants as well as animals, share in it? That's a big debate. The trees have consciousness, isn't it? One Lama said that there can be consciousness within these material things stuck there, in a pole, in a wall. That's their theory. Others say, no, the trees talk to each other and they have cell phones. I don't know. There's extremes. Secret Life of Plants was a book everybody talked about. I don't know. And I'm sure there's going to be a lot more material to talk about on this topic. It's very thought-provoking. It's keeping me awake, actually. So, what are its characteristics? Does our conscious life exist only when we are aware of being conscious? That's a tough one, isn't it? Does it exist only when we say, oh yeah, I'm conscious now? So that in dreamless sleep, for example, consciousness may be said to be dormant or even annihilated. Buddhist theories say no, you always have a subtle consciousness going on, blah, blah, it never goes. But it's up for argument. Is consciousness composed of serial moments, click, 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 or mental fluctuation, there, this and that, Or is it continuous but continually changing? Continuous but continually changing. That sounds like a good one. I'll put my money on that one. Is consciousness a matter of degree? Hyperconscious, low conscious? Does consciousness always need an object? We can talk about this all night long, but we won't, because I can't moderate something like that. Something to be conscious of. That's right. Now, that's a big point. Does it have to have an object? I don't know. What is its relation to the unconscious? Not only the unconscious electrochemical events of the brain that are correlated with mental processes, but also more complex and perhaps problematic unconscious desire. Okay, let me read that again. Was its relation to the unconscious, not only the unconscious electrochemical events of the brain that are correlated with mental processes, but also more complex and perhaps problematic unconscious desires, memories, and expectations. Given the highly subjective nature of our experience of consciousness, is a scientific understanding in the sense of an objective third-person account ever possible? So is there? How could we know the nature of consciousness when it's always a private matter? It's always involves someone who is conscious of something. So you can't take the observer out of it, then there's no consciousness. What are you doing? We got a problem. Quantum physics say the experimenters are now participants. They're not out there looking, they're in it because the presence of one or this one or that one changes the results. It's very strange. So there's no cold looking at the facts, ma'am? I don't know. Something that keep you awake at night. Good evening. The question of consciousness has attracted a good deal of attention in the long history of Buddhist philosophical thinking. I hope so. For Buddhism, given its primary interest in questions of ethics, spirituality, and overcoming suffering, understanding consciousness, which is thought to be a defining characteristic of sentience, is of great importance. By the way, Jennifer, I'm reading from this book. I'll talk louder. The universe in a single atom, because in the book we're studying, he had mentioned a few, sort of pointed us towards this book. So I found this chapter, which seems to be something of, a little broad interest. That's the word I want. Yeah. Who's that, me? Okay. According to the earliest scriptures, that would be the Pali Canon and stuff like that, the Buddha saw consciousness as playing a key role in determining the course of human happiness and suffering. Duh. Yes. For example, the famous discourse of the Buddha known as the Dhammapada opens with the statement that mind is primary and pervades all things. That we can talk for years on. Darren, what time is it? I have no idea. We at 7:30 yet?
No.
10 minutes? What?
5.
5, all right. So let me do this chapter too, because it'll give you something to think about when you're thinking. Because what you're thinking involves consciousness. So you can't ever lose this topic. You can't. And not in the next life either. You're always going to have consciousness. It's immortal. Hurrah, hurrah. So, before we proceed, let's have a drink. No, it's important to be aware of the problems raised by our use of language, and this is a big point, in describing subjective experience. Despite the universality of the experience of consciousness, the languages in which we articulate our subjective experiences have their roots in disparate cultural, historical, and linguistic backgrounds. goes deep. These diverse backgrounds represent different cognitive frameworks. You're coming from a certain place using a certain language with a certain folkloric background or whatever, I would say. What do you think? You speak another language perfectly, so you see a difference? You think in Burmese, you think in English, or what?
Yeah, there's a difference, no problem.
Are there more words in that your language that are more precise about mental events and things?
I don't know if I could say it's precise, I don't know if
Okay, it's a big topic.
language itself is not that precise, yeah?
No, language is not,
Language
that's,
is
of
not
course,
precise.
it's an approximation, yeah.
Yeah.
But certainly, you're basically the Pali-Canon, the Nikayas and stuff like that, in the Burmese Buddhism, or is it Mahayana too? It's both?
In the southern Burma, it's basically Pali Canon. In the northern, I think there's, the Mahayana came through from Tibet into.
Yeah, that's right, you brought it to
That's
that.
right, we actually share a little bit of Tibetan border.
Yeah,
So, Upper Burma is Mahayana.
Upper Burma. Soon we'll all go there. These diverse backgrounds represent different cognitive frameworks, conceptual mapping, linguistic particles, or philosophical and spiritual heritage. For example, in Western European languages, one speaks of consciousness, the mind, mental phenomena, and awareness. Similarly, in the context of Buddhist philosophy of mind, one speaks of lo, which is Buddhi, lo is the Tibetan word, lo, lo, which is Buddhi in Sanskrit, Shepa, Jhana, and Rigpa, Vidya, all of which can be roughly translated as awareness or intelligence. Rigpa you want for years with that. So if it's this, it's that. In the broadest sense of the term. Buddhist philosophers also speak of Sen, which is Chitta in Sanskrit, mind in English, and Namshe, which is Vijnana in Sanskrit, or consciousness. This is the Vijnana dialogues, monologues, rather. And Yi, manas in Sanskrit, mentality or mental states. And here it's a stretch too, because he's taking this word and putting it to an English. I don't know. But anyway, that's the story. It's a good starting point for our getting into looking at how we think moment by moment, and we got some ammunition now to, wait a minute. Wait a minute. So, we'll put this aside. Tomorrow I'll pick it up again at the parsonage in South Orange. So we'll go back to this book, which we're supposed to be studying. Oh, poor bug is here. Oh, it's a fly. Get out of here. Stay away from my treats. What this section of the book now does is takes it into reality. We've been studying the problems of the world, the this, the that. Now, what are we going to do about it? And this section is it's on page 101. It starts, part 2, educating the heart through training the mind. I think we have a T-shirt that says that. What?
Message from Bob.
Oh, is he alive? Mind needs an object, not consciousness itself. Well, that's good. That muddies the waters. Bob, you're alive. That's good to hear. Run into anyone? So, starting with oneself, page 101. In the first half of this book, this is His Holiness speaking now. You want to borrow a copy? You heard it, right?
Yeah.
Oh, you're good. He's going for one tomorrow. You're not on campus, so nobody knows. So, His Holiness says, in the first half of this book, I offered an entirely secular basis on which to understand the importance of compassion and inner values. But understanding the needs for these qualities is not enough. You've got to go to work now. We must also act on this understanding. If we want to make the world better and our lives better, you got to act, okay? So how are we to bring this understanding and translate it into our everyday lives? How are we to become more compassionate, kinder, more forgiving, and more discerning in our behavior? Sorry. Sound clearer now?
Yeah.
All right. It is in response to such questions that in the remaining chapters of this book, I, His Holiness, offer some thoughts about ways in which we can begin to educate our hearts. Darren, don't we have a T-shirt with that on? Training the heart, training the mind. What? With the lotus, yes. Available at the Tibet Center. Little plug here for some merch. Many aspects of these suggestions about how to restrain our negative behavior, how to combat our destructive emotional tendencies, how to cultivate inner values such as compassion, patience, contentment, self-discipline, and generosity, and how to develop a calm and disciplined mind through mental training. All these are drawn from classical Buddhist traditions, which are a part of my own background, including especially that of mind training, known as Lojong. Now he's saying, in my view, however, these practices presented here require no religious belief or commitment. You don't have to say 15 of this a day, you don't have to do this, put a shrine in your house, nothing. Just the bare bones of your behavior, your thinking and your actions. Instead, they constitute an approach to living ethically and in harmony with others with a deeper sense of well-being. You're going to get something out of this, otherwise why bother? Deeper sense of well-being, which can be practiced in a way that is independent of any specific religious or cultural perspective. So he's not selling religion here, because most people want to buy it anyway. So he's selling you a way to have a deeper sense of well-being. Not selling, he's giving it away. Can't put a value on it anyway. My suggestion in the suggestions, plural, in this second part are offered in the sincere hope that they can provide help and guidance for those who want to learn to overcome their own difficulties and to lead fulfilling ethical lives oriented toward the long-term benefit of both self and others. And long-term benefit, people don't believe in future lives, okay, but at least these things will give you a sense of well-being now, so you're well on your way. And they implant, bhakchas, imprints on the mind that will carry on. Remember, consciousness is immortal, it's always around. So you can't run away from it. We're trapped. Oh no, we're trapped in awareness, which is always with us. Pure awareness is your friend. Once again, I must emphasize, this is a school teacher talking now. I must emphasize that these suggestions are not an instant cure for all our problems. That's it. Educating the heart takes both time and sustained effort. Sustained effort. Though I have no doubt that with sincere motivation, big point, we can all learn kind-heartedness and we can all benefit from it. So that's his little locker room pep talk here before we start this section. And it starts with the, I have your stuff, your bag, yeah. After class, let's not waste it. Ethical mindfulness in everyday life. So here it is, all this in action, not just sitting back admiring, but getting out of your chair, mentally out of your chair. Ethics is not simply, this is on page 103 for those keeping score. Ethics is not simply a matter of knowing. Yeah. More important, it's about doing. You can't be ethical, first of all, without other people. So it's because, good ethics is helpful, bad ethics is harmful. So that's the criteria of judgment. So for this reason, even the most sophisticated ethical understanding, if it is not applied in daily life, is somewhat pointless. Arguing over the ethics of this or that and then not behaving in accordance, So living ethically requires not only the conscious adoption of an ethical outlook, but also a commitment to developing and applying inner values in our daily lives. Again, the whole book turns you within, because what's within is going to come out. What's within everyone's mind comes out, and that's the world. And the future world. The mind shows is running the whole show. The mind has no color, no weight, no electric charge. What? That it's running the whole show. Something is different here. We're so attuned to materialism. So we have to start thinking this way. And he's giving you on the side. He's giving these little things that are planting questions in your mind. Now, regarding the question of how to put ethics into practice in everyday life. Not now, no. it may be helpful to consider the process of having three aspects or levels, each progressively more advanced and dependent for its success upon the former. Again, stages, okay? The right sequence. As outlined in some classical Buddhist texts, these are as follows. 1, an ethic of restraint. Okay? Deliberately refraining from doing actual or potential harm to others. Okay. Try. Second, and it depends on restraint, an ethic of virtue, actively cultivating and enhancing our positive behavior and inner values. And the last, which depends on the first two, an ethic of altruism, in other words, dedicating our lives genuinely and selflessly to the welfare of others. Does that mean you quit your job and do this or that? No, it's just a mental event, a mental posture. You have to start, what can I do to benefit others? And that benefits you, as 10,000 lamas have said, more than anything else. So, to be effective, these three stages must be considered in relation to all our behavior. In other words, not just in relation to our outward physical actions of body, but also in relation to what we say, speech, and ultimately to our very thoughts, mind, and intentions. Body, speech, and mind, our old friends. And out of these levels of behavior, body, speech, and mind, the most important is the mind, which we're repeating endlessly here, as the source of everything we do and say. To concentrate our attention only on actions of body and speech would be like a doctor addressing only the symptoms of an illness rather than its underlying cause. I got this rash, here's some cortisone, put that, but never, what caused the rash so that it never comes back? That's the total cure. And Buddhism has the same approach. Go to the cause. You can subdue things, you can do certain drugs to subdue anxiety and stuff like that. What's the cause? Things like, you might need to do that to get on balance again, but you have to go after the cause. Otherwise, it's going to keep coming back. And disease is that way. You know. So, for a treatment to be effective, it must also address the source of the problem. Right. In view of this, the final 3 chapters are all primarily concerned with training the mind. But before moving on to the subject of educating the heart through training the mind, I should first say a few words about the importance of abandoning destructive habits of body and speech, as this is which constitutes the first stage in the practice of ethics. So, restraining the body and speech is the beginning of reigning in the mind. So, think about it. What do you think? Can you reign in the mind without paying attention to what you say and what you do? You reign in the mind going out getting drunk every night or screwing around or whatever? Can you reign speech without just never watching your mouth, as your mother told you? My mother. No. Start with the outward because that's easier to do. Then we start to wake up to the inner movements that started this bad behavior in the first place. I dropped my voice, I'm sorry. Yeah. Coffee to the rescue. Nectar of the gods. Nectar of the Democrats, I don't know. So that's it. And a lot of people you'll see at the beginning, monks and nuns are very strict regimen of how to sleep, how to get up, wash your teeth, and everything is done to bring in some control. And that is affecting the mind in that way. Because the mind's very wild, and you've been living a wild life, it's very hard to just sit there like this and so start with these small changes in your behavior. I mentioned, and we could do this too as lay people, you know. And you know what to do in your life as you live. It's an individual thing. How much is for you, how much you can't take when you're going over the line. You certainly know when you're eating and stuff, when you're going over the line, drinking, that's enough. So you have to bring that attitude. And it does help putting the mind in a better posture because they're related and they're going to affect each other. So easier to start with the outer things, and then we, armed with that kind of discipline, a basic discipline, then we can go in and start watching the mind as it jumps here and there, and it's gonna, and you start ignoring the impulses to do this or that. Sometimes you just gotta say, hold on. So you have to know, even if you're meditating, when it's time to stop. And of course, beginners, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, that's it. Many times, and continuous. Rinpoche used to say all that, should do continuous. So, any complaints, etc.? What time is it? We'll do a little the ethics of restraint, which will keep you out of trouble, by the way. So you get a benefit there, and probably will keep your wallet more full. So who doesn't like that? Regarding certain kinds of obviously harmful behavior, and we've all been there, living in New York, I think we know what he's talking about. All the world's major faiths and humanistic traditions converge. Murder, theft, and inappropriate sexual conduct such as sexual exploitation are by definition harmful to others. Right, there's no room for arguing that. That's that. Unless you disagree, if you say no, we should exploit or we shouldn't be, no. So of course, they should be abandoned. I've seen a little wordplay on this topic. Someone asked this fundamentalist about why do you, the death penalty is wrong. No, the Bible says thou shalt not murder, not thou shalt not kill. Boy, come on, we're allowed to kill. Oh yeah, I heard this argument.
That's great.
But that's what people do, just push their own agenda, Killing is killing, shut up. But that's in Texas, where things are a little different. That's right.
Because they love the
It's
life.
just the word. No, it's thou shalt. As you translated, you idiot. Do you speak Aramaic the way it was spoken, or the other languages that the Bible is written in, even Greek? So anyway, you have to watch for things like that and not be swayed by arguments like that. It's just a lot. But I'm on page 104. But the ethic of restraint calls for more than this. Before we can contemplate actively benefiting others, we must first of all ensure that we do them no harm, even by our actions which are not immediately violent. And he gives an example. And it's very hard in this world to avoid these things. With regard to this principle of doing no harm, I am particularly impressed and humbled by my brothers and sisters in the Jain tradition. They're very ethically controlled. Jainism, which is something like a twin religion to Buddhism, places great emphasis on the virtue of nonviolence, or ahimsa, towards all beings. For example, Jain monks go to great lengths to ensure that they do not accidentally tread on insects or harm other living beings in their everyday activities. You notice the statue of the Buddha we have is flanked by two arhats, and they're carrying in their hand a staff with little brass things on the end. They're supposed to pound that to scare the insects away from the path as they walk, and they do that. It's started with the Jains, I think. I'm not sure. But anyway, that's the level of outer behavior that they're cultivating. And so don't step on it. All right, accidentally, it's not bad. Come on, you didn't intend it. But so take precautions not to even accidentally hurt them. So I don't think you can walk around New York City with these things and bang them on the street and start a fight.
And don't they wear face masks? So that-
I think some do, yeah.
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 But it's the
They filter the
monastic-
water, some of them carry.
the monastics.
Oh yeah, these are monastics. They're in robes. But all right, but that's an action that illustrates these points. However, exemplary behavior in Jain monks and nuns is hard for all of us to emulate. Yes, try it on the subway. Even for those whose circle of primary concern is restricted to humanity rather than encompassing all sentient beings, meaning animals and insects, etc., it can be very hard not to contribute to harming others through our actions in indirect ways. He gives an example. Consider, for example, how rivers come to be polluted. Perhaps by mining companies extracting minerals or industrial plants producing components that are crucial to the technologies we use on a daily basis. Oh yeah. Every user of these technologies is thereby partly responsible for the pollution and thus contributes negatively to the lives of others. It's a hard one. Hmm. Unfortunately, it is perfectly possible to harm others indirectly through our actions without any intention of doing so. All right, it's not your intention to do that, so the karmic imprint isn't there. However, we got to do something to clean up this problem. We need rivers, otherwise they're not going to be around, you know. So realistically, this is on page 105, I think the most important thing we can all do to minimize the harm we inflict in our everyday lives is to apply discernment in our behavior and to follow that natural sense of conscientiousness which arises from the enhanced awareness that discernment brings us. Do the best you can. I mean, really, even buying things, the packaging pollutes the world. This and everything comes in these packages that you can't even open. I mean, you put nuclear waste in there, it's very safe. Put it in a blister pack, nobody gets at it. No, it's strange. So, he's realistic. That's the situation. The worst thing we do is stop being guilty. Oh no, I did this today and it's polluting the rivers and all the animals are dying. You'll never get out of bed. Maybe you're right. I don't know. But, so, harm caused by non-violent means is the bottom of page 105, another section. While harm inflicted by outward actions can normally be seen, the suffering we inflict on others with words can be more hidden, but is often no less damaging. And sometimes you don't know. You don't know how a person took a certain remark of yours. I remember my boss said, when you go to Albany, don't make your jokes because they're not going to get it and they're going to think you're strange. He says, really, they don't understand irony up there. We used to say that Albany is where death is redundant. It's very boring. This is particularly the case, he says, in our closest, most intimate relationships. Husband and wife, this and that. We humans are quite sensitive, and it is easy to inflict suffering on those around us through our careless use of harsh words. That we got to watch, because around here, harsh words is the lingua franca. The lingua franchi, maybe. Yeah. That's it. And just know the mothers talk to their kids sometimes. But no, we can also inflict harm with dishonesty. Yes, now we're getting to the high protein part. Dishonesty, slander, and divisive gossip. Sounds familiar? The 10 non-virtues are entered into a hall. They came in quietly. No doubt we have all, at some time or another, felt the negative consequences of such idle talk. Especially teenagers now with bullying and stuff. They're sensitive and they're a strange part of life. The hormones are changing and they're in a delicate situation, so wise-ass speech is not good. Can't think about that. What? Online bullying. Online bullying, which is causing suicides and stuff. Yeah, you see an article once a week about so-and-so's daughter bullied and killed herself. What gets on their minds and I don't know. It's good country, huh? It's good world. This is a global problem. This is not just the United States. I'm sure in China the same deal. I don't know if you keep up. Yeah.
That's why in China they limit TikTok to 40 minutes a day for kids.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah, they probably have the controls to put it on.
40 minutes a day. That tells
And that's a lot to start with. 40 minutes of just BSing all over the place. And who wants your opinion anyway, kid? You're not a Rhodes Scholar. That's pretty good. It's a little controlling, but I mean, I think of a lot of people who need to be restrained from the social media. J.D. Vance, the Donald, etc. I didn't know that. That's interesting. So they recognize the problem.
Of course.
They want to keep their country safe.
And when the government is the one who ultimately controls it, I think our government is absolutely right about it's a gateway to your device also.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess they shut down the device itself.
Pardon me?
In China, they probably have the technology to shut down. He's on over 40 minutes, that's it. They blocked him.
Oh, they definitely do, because you have to register.
Oh, yeah?
And every citizen is getting a ID, a government ID on the internet, right, for all that? Yeah,
Here we have corporate surveillance. You buy something, they send you a coupon right away. I mean, my,
Like, why does my well, if I had a decent refrigerator, they're hooking up all these devices to the internet to use them.
yeah, I know, to find out if you need milk and open the friggin' door.
Exactly.
So you gotta have a whole data farms to keep, and use that power to find out if you need milk or bread.
Well, because we're all consumers, we're all.
That's all we are, it looks like.
Everything is like that.
Like good on one side, bad on one side.
Yeah.
Under control, sometimes good, but
Right.
free is not good either.
Well, yeah, but when, especially with children, because they're at a certain time, they don't have discernment. They don't know the whole picture yet. They think they do. And their whole world is like their classroom and their circle of idiot friends sometimes, and from the nice friends. I don't know. I was never a parent, so I watched a lot of other kids, but it's difficult.
Well, having been a child, I would be terrified.
I don't remember being a child so long
Oh,
ago.
my God.
What? I was a child.
But as an information junkie, more or less, as a teenager, the internet would have been deadly for me as a teenager. I mean, very fascinating on one hand, but
Yeah.
the places you can go.
It is addictive. It is a time eater. Oh, it's 2 o'clock.
Yeah.
Search for motels. Was going on vacation. He got phone calls a half hour later. They knew he was there. They found his phone number. Would you be interested in a place? And blah, blah. Nuts.
Wow.
Yeah.
And then you can get on the deep web.
Yeah, the dark, or the deep, not the dark. The dark, or,
web.
dark
Very
web, yeah.
frightening place, yeah.
Where's the light switch? Oh. Corporate surveillance, government surveillance, the same thing. Someone's running your life that you don't want them to do. If it's protecting children, all right, I go for some restraints. That's a good idea. And given the suicide, I guess maybe there's statistics that less Chinese kids kill themselves and stuff. Maybe that could be an argument. Someone should look into this.
Who would know?
Who would? It's right. Who would know?
Chinese government would know.
Here,
CCP
here.
would know.
Exactly.
Word of mouth, and families would tell families. You always get the truth that way. Aunts and uncles open their mouths, and that's it.
Does anyone, there's that movement now that's been covered in the paper about people dropping out, the younger generation, just dropping out of the workforce and stuff out of sheer.
Because they're on the internet, they don't want to go to work. I don't know. I don't.
Oh no, it's been covered a lot
Being
in the
glib.
media, it's fascinating.
Nobody wants to work. Well, considering the wages, and you can't buy an apartment with whatever they pay you, why work? I mean, I don't know. Anyway, we'll have to leave it at that. Well, let's finish this thing. We can also inflict harm to society, etc. No doubt we've all sometimes felt the negative consequence of such idle talk. It undermines trust and affection and can create all kinds of unfortunate misunderstandings and enmities between people. Here, as in other areas, we need to observe the golden rule. Here it is again. His Holiness is quoting the golden rule found in all the world's ethical systems. Treat others as you wish to be treated yourself, or do unto others as you would have them do unto you. And we say, do unto others before they do unto you, the New York motto. But anyway, the wise ass motto, I know. Hey. So they think God helps those who help themselves, but God helps those who get caught helping themselves. All right. Now, Darren, could you come forth with the names? Jane had a few. Brian, let me see. Where's DS? DS had.
Nina Baron Einhorn
Anita Baron Einhorn,
and Mark Podwall.
Mark Podwall. Anyone else? Friends, relatives, enemies? Granny? Tangu?
And who is still going through, he had a operation and then she ripped off all the stitches.
Oh, Tangu is not a human.
Tangu, no, she's a cat.
She's a cat.
She's still
That's what
suffering.
cats do, I know.
She's going to the vet like every other day.
What is Tangu? Well, Tangu didn't die. This is for people who died. No, no. So we're not going to.
She's suffering.
Saturday, Mike Howard's.
Why Taro? Would you give a Tangu? You'll be there probably. It's only-
And what about for that poor man who got shot in the
I didn't hear that one.
But,
Oh, well, the four cops went off after a fair breaker
oh,
who
yeah,
they
yeah.
claimed had a knife, but a lot of people there said no knife, and now they say they can't find the knife. And a bunch of people got injured, and one man got seriously hit in the head, and this is over fare evasion.
Where, in New York?
Four cops went out shooting on a platform. Yeah, look, it's all over the press.
Someone's on the corner dealing, crack
Yeah, and something
fentanyl
else
and
happened with
else.
our trusty
They-
mayor today. I forget
It's
what
a
it is.
wonderful world. Now, this is not Nirvana, I guess. I made a wrong turn. I thought I was finding Nirvana. Yeah. Sutra of the Recollection of the Noble Three Jewels. I prostrate to the Omniscient One. Thus the Buddha, Bhagavat, Tathagata, Arahat, Samyak Sang Buddha, the learned and virtuous one, the Sugata, the knower of the world, the charioteer and tamer of beings, the unsurpassable one, the teacher of devas and humans, is the Buddha Bhagavat. The Tathagata is in accord with all merit. He does not waste the roots of virtue. He is completely ornamented with all patience. He is the basis of the treasures of merit. He is adorned with the minor marks. He blossoms with the flowers of the major marks. His activity is timely and appropriate. Seeing him, he is without disharmony. He brings true joy to those who long with faith. His knowledge cannot be overpowered. His strengths cannot be challenged. He is the teacher of all sentient beings. He is the father of bodhisattvas, the king of noble ones, those who journey to the city of nirvana. He possesses immeasurable wisdom. He possesses inconceivable confidence. His speech is completely pure. His melody is pleasing. One never has enough of seeing him. His form is incomparable. He's not stained by the realm of desire. He's not stained by the realm of form. He's not affected by the formless realm. He is completely liberated from suffering. He is completely and utterly liberated from the skandhas. He is not possessed with dhatus. His ayatanas are controlled. He has completely cut the knots. He is completely liberated from extreme torment. He is liberated from craving. He is crossed over the river. He is perfected in all the wisdoms. He abides in the wisdom of the Buddha Bhagavats, who arise in the past, present, and future. He does not abide in nirvana. He abides in the ultimate perfection. He dwells on the bhumi where he sees all sentient beings. All these are the perfect virtues of the greatness of the Buddha Bhagavat. The Holy Dharma is good at the beginning, good in the middle, and good at the end. Its meaning is excellent. Its words are excellent. It is uncorrupted. It is completely perfect and completely pure. It completely purifies. The Bhagavad teaches the Dharma well. It brings complete vision. It is free from sickness. It is always timely. It directs one further. Seeing it fulfills one's purpose. It brings discriminating insight for the wise. The Dharma, which is taught by the Bhagavad, is revealed properly in the Vinaya. It is renunciation. It causes one to arrive at perfect enlightenment. It is without contradiction. It is pity. It is trustworthy. It puts an end to the journey. As for the Sangha, the great young, they enter completely, they enter insightfully, they enter straightforwardly, they enter harmoniously. They are worthy of veneration with joined palms. They are worthy of receiving prostration. They are a field of glorious merit. They are completely capable of receiving all gifts. They are an object of generosity. They are a great object of complete generosity. The protector who possesses great kindness, the omniscient teacher, the basis of oceans of merit and virtue, I prostrate to the Tathagata. Pure, the cause of freedom from passion, virtuous, liberating from the lower realms, this alone is the supreme ultimate truth. I prostrate to the Dharma, which is peace. Having been liberated, they show the path to liberation. They are fully dedicated to the disciplines. They are a holy field of merit and possess virtue. I prostrate to the Sangha. I prostrate to the Buddha, the leader. I prostrate to the Dharma, the protector. I prostrate to the Sangha, the community. I prostrate respectfully and always to these three. The Buddha's virtues are inconceivable. The Dharma's virtues are inconceivable. The Sangha's virtues are inconceivable. Having faith in these inconceivables, therefore the fruitions are inconceivable. May they be born in a completely pure realm. Prayer for a swift return written by His Holiness for the swift return of Rato Chungla Rinpoche. Exalted wisdom of all victors gathered in a drop, sole refuge manifest in the form of the one wearing saffron robes, through Lozang to Wang, Dorje Chang. Please bear witness here today that our prayers may be fulfilled. We beseech the great torch of doctrine, accomplishing from long ago the vast waves of aspirational prayers, Lord of speech of the Victor Lozang's teachings, spreading them to the ends of the earth by means of explanation and practice. Though holding the commitment, I will invite all beings to be my guests in unsurpassed great awakening. Yet you have withdrawn the activities of the form body that serves the welfare of others. Is that worthy of the supreme among beings, the bodhisattvas? Though impossible for you till cyclic existence's end to abandon your commitment to liberate all beings, we beseech the new son of Nirmanakaya to swiftly return from the realm of Dharmakaya, brought forth by bodhicitta drawn by 7 steeds. Having reached the far limits of scholarship, religious life, and goodness, please come swiftly as an unrivaled supreme emanation, full holder of the sage's teaching and wish-fulfilling jewel, return as the Gloria Lozang Tenpe, magnificent truth of the 3 precious jewels, Mahakala, Karmayama, and Sri Mata Devi, and the ocean of Dharma protectors. May you spontaneously fulfill our wish, the swift blossoming of the reincarnation's fresh moonlight face. Before we end, we have to leave this location after 12 years here, 12 years plus, in about 3 or 4 weeks. And we like to maintain a presence in New York City, so if any of you have leads on places that rent hourly classrooms, let me know. I know Nikki wants to maintain a New York presence. And
You're talking about middle of October, right?
yes, mid-October, 4 weeks.
Yeah, somebody mentioned it downstairs.
Yes, 4 weeks, that's it. No more swimming, Maya, I'm sorry.
Oh, I'm gonna be finishing my swimming by then.
There's always the Hudson River.
Why is that?
They're selling the building. They have financial problems. The Y stays. This is not the Y. This is the settlement house co-located. This section is being probably made apartments. I don't know what they're going to do.
Does the Y has the rooms available as well?
The Y doesn't rent rooms. They just have the pool and the gymnasium and stuff.
Oh, I can still.
We can learn in the pool. Everybody may become a Y.
Classrooms that are being sold?
What?
These classrooms? That are
This section, that's what I'm told.
My God, there's just not going to be anything.
It never ends, does it?
Wow, can't believe
Yes.
it.
Anyway, our next class, thank you very much for your patient listening. Big love to all of you. And by the way, yes, thank Jing and the crowd at the University Settlement. All these years they took care of us, like our parents. What? They're sweet, kind, give us a clean room, always looking after every little thing. We wouldn't have been here 12 years without them. We wouldn't have had all the teachings that we have. Been here 12 years. Dakpo Rinpoche was here in 2012. This is 24. We have it on tape, so we have proof. I have the proof right here. Sad, so let's see. We got to continue a presence in New York City, especially probably Lower Manhattan. It's reasonable. So thanks, guys, for your patient listening. Our next class is tomorrow night, 7 o'clock from the Parsonage in South Orange, New Jersey. All are welcome. Refreshments are served, and you can watch online. Big love to all of you.